Happy 3IAtlas Day, you guys. 3IAtlas is his closest point to Earth today, and today's channeled message is yes, of course, about that. So, welcome back to my channel, you guys. I am so glad you are here. Thank you so much for joining me. And those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Ann Tucker. I'm a trance channel. I channel both from the angelic realm and I channel the Mother of Creation, who recently gave us a name. She named herself, and she's calling herself Isla. It's the letter I and then L-A, Isla. And you can put a dash between it or you can make it all one, Isla. And she chose that name for a variety of beautiful reasons. She says it represents the first two energies of the universe. It represents I, which is will, and La, which is love and joy. So, yeah, so it's very cool. But it also means some beautiful things in other languages. It means what was it? It means joy, I think, in Turkish, and flow in some languages, and it's associated with divine feminine. So very, very beautiful name, and she likes it because it's pretty. So yeah, so awesome. So anyways, I know many people were asking, do you have a name? So there's a name for Mother of Creation. So very, very awesome. So anyways, so those of you who are new, welcome. Today's message is it's really, really beautiful. This one it's talking about, okay, now 3IAtlas is here, and it's giving us some incredibly clear and specific things that we can do to take advantage of this energy, describing exactly how it's impacting us, and then guiding us through the process of putting it to use for ourselves and for humanity. So incredibly helpful message. This message goes deep. And there's parts about this message so important, which can be triggering. And so I think it goes against some of the ways that we're taught to be in the world. But that's part of a shift of consciousness. The part of it is starting to see things through a new way. So I hope you guys will hear it and let it land and sit with it and feel for yourselves, discern for yourselves your own truth. So yeah, very, very beautiful message though. All right, you guys, I will go ahead and play the original channeling, and then after that, I'll come back and we will break down the message and talk about it in more depth. Blessed beings, I am with you once again, and we are speaking today on an unfathomable subject of where things are changing, even now, as you are standing on the precipice of where things have gone and where things are becoming. There is a new time frame that is announcing itself under your feet in this very moment. There's something on the horizon that is coming, that is nearly here, that you are already a part of, and that is already announcing itself in your energy fields. And you will come to discover what this is as you are deepening your concentration and your readiness in your own awareness. What I would like to encourage for you each as you are standing on this threshold is an appreciation of the life that you lead, an appreciation for everywhere you are, for what is today, for what is now, for how you have come to be where you are, to find in yourself, in your soul, a stirring that allows what is to be, that without resistance, that you may open your heart to acceptance of what is, to find the strength within it. For what this shall bring you is far greater than any resentment you may toss aside. It is, in fact, a new beginning. It is a way of entering into a new relationship with all of creation. And it shall bring to you a greater preponderance of existing within the expression of loving what is. It shall draw into your field more and more enjoyment of the life as you have it now. This is the threshold, and you are upon it. And it stands between you now and the after as it is coming to be defined by who you are. There is only in the understanding of yourselves the idea that now is defined by the world as it is, a world that exists and you are simply visiting, that you are here to nurture yourselves, to grow your light, to help one another. But what if you would consider that this earth as she is a co-creative process, a co-creative processing of what is expected and generated from within your own field. And to this, I would answer that you have now an opportunity to create a departure from that, to create something new, to harness from within yourselves a open door that is forming around you. And to access this doorway now, to start stepping into greater and greater openings of acceptance, you may release your resistance to what is and open your own hearts to finding a way to love with loving compassion for what is. What does it mean to love what is when there is so much not to love? When there are so many things that you would rather not have in reality as it exists, as you know it? I would say that all things that exist in your reality today are an expression of yourself. All things that exist externally are a reflection of beliefs, thoughts, and energies that reside within your very own soul. And when you can give what is the creative license to express itself and love it into wholeness, giving it the love that it needs, offering compassion where before there has been judgment. This is a healing process that unfolds within you. You expand your soul as this is done. You let in more light. You grow your field and express that light into the new reality as it is forming through and around you. If you are able to harness these energies, your field expands through love, into love, creating love. And this is the potential that you are stirring now, even as you sit, even as you hear my words. This potential is around you. And you may begin in this moment. You may begin in the acceptance of what you have not accepted. You may begin in the understanding that that which you have not accepted is in fact a part of what you are in one way or another. Even those things that feel so far from what you are standing in resistance to a belief system or idea that you hold in your own energy field. All is created from what you are. And if this is the case, you also have the power to create something new. And what shall that new thing become? A reality based on your truth, which is that you are, in fact, a spark of the divine, that you can't contain the imprint of loving, that loving is your intrinsic nature. If you can simply allow it to be, if you can open yourselves to allow the fluidity of that light to move through you. And how do you do this? Through the acceptance of what is, letting down your barriers to self, allowing the soul to open its doors, letting all that is your truth flow through you. And you need not be perfect. You need not harness all that is inside of you into a structure or a format that you think is palatable to others or to yourself. You can come as you are, be as you are, imperfect. For in your imperfection there is great beauty. And from within the essence of acceptance of yourself, you generate acceptance in your world. And this is the gateway to freedom, and freedom generates love. Now is the time to find friendship with what you have not wanted and what you have not liked, to become in acceptance of what is, to find that in every corner of this earth, love is needed and can be offered by you. Loving acceptance opens the doorway to the freedom that you are seeking. It gifts to you what you are wanting, what you are needing, which is a free passageway through which to express your truth, to grow the light of your own belonging. It comes now in this time, this opportunity. Do you need to commit yourself fully to this experiencing? Not yet. It may come part by part, piece by piece. Allow yourself this unfolding in a moment. in a day. However long, it does not matter. Every moment within which you are holding the vibration of acceptance and peace with what is, you have found a moment of freedom. And in that freedom, you have gifted love to this earth. The more you concentrate upon this acceptance, forgiving what you find offensive, loving that which you find abhorrent, loving it as one loves a child who's abandoned, giving love, which is healing, to that which is confused or lost to itself, and seeing within this the peace that unfolds inside you, allowing this to reflect coming to terms with those wounds which generate resistance, opening the heart, opening the doorways through which your truth will unfold. In a moment, the world changes forever. It changes piece by piece, moment by moment, person by person. And every moment that you commit yourself to loving what is your future expands to include your truth. And you become part of it. And you are gradually and gently leaning into a new perspective and a higher state of consciousness. I thank you. So yeah, I love the clarity of this message. I love that we come out of this message in this day, in this moment right now where 3IAtlas is so close and we have this understanding of what's happening. You know, we received a message before from the Mother of Creation and the angels about 3IAtlas, talking about how it is the 3IAtlas is communicating directly with the earth. And the earth is starting to understand that she's not alone. So this is a heart-opening, heart-activating experience that we're having, that it is bringing this possibility of seeing something that we did not expect, right? Seeing outside and beyond the places where we have our deepest resistance, our deepest boundaries that prevent us from feeling and experiencing love. And that includes isolation and loneliness, the experience that we're alone in the universe. So it is opening us in this incredibly deep way and opening the earth. So I love in that message, the last message we got about 3IAtlas, how I think it was, I don't know if it was Mother of Creation or angels who gave us that message, but they were talking about how the earth is behind the veil, just like we are behind the veil, that the whole earth has been sort of cloaked, and that's been for our highest and best, right? It's been for our own development, so that we could have our own kind of little world to explore ourselves in, and it was really about understanding ourselves in separation, that we had to get really clear about who we are individually and who humanity is individually before we can then move into a collective experience, because we don't want to be the Borg, right? Somebody was talking about I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, somebody was talking about a new movie or TV show that's on Apple TV, Pluribus, and it's about basically unity consciousness, but in like the worst way. Like it's great and it's bad at the same time. It's conflicted because it's Borg consciousness where individuality is lost, and that is not where we're headed at all. Like it's really cool to see the concept of unity consciousness coming into the public, like the what do they call it, the Zig Heist or whatever, coming into the collective awareness, that it's actually like such a thing that it made it into like an Apple TV series, like amazing. But what they're portraying in that is yes, it's an elevated consciousness and it's like all these amazing things, but it is unity without separation. And what we're being directed towards and where we're headed with our growth is not that. We are being directed, and that is such a key thing, is that we're not meant to forget the lessons of separation. We are meant to integrate the lessons of individuality and separation inside of unity, so that we have full conscious awareness of who we are as a separated, individuated soul. And we also have this incredible deep connection to the all that is and to each other. And so, yes, we can tap in and have universal knowledge and all that kind of stuff, and we can feel what each other is feeling. But we also are very clear about what is your feeling and what is my feeling. And I get to have my experiences and my formative memories, and you get to have yours. And they create a unique element of me and a unique element of you, and that's the difference. And so the whole conflict, like, it wouldn't make a very good movie because there's no conflict in that. The conflict in the TV series is that it is unity without individual. It is the leaving behind the lessons of separation. And that's exactly why we wouldn't do it, right? It wouldn't make sense for the growth of humanity, that we need to keep what we've learned and move into the new with that lesson learned. So yeah, and I just lost my thought again, but I get on a tangent and I lose my thought. But yeah, so I feel like, in this message we are being guided, like, to understand, like, this is the energy that's here for us now. The door is cracked open, the veil is cracked open in terms of our separation from the rest of the universe. And I think that is what 3i Atlas brings. Like, that we talk about heart opening, yes, but why? How does it happen? It is because the greatest plague of humanity and earth has been loneliness. And 3i Atlas is coming like a streaker, as they said in the message, coming like a streaker through the galaxy, right? And parading right through our solar system. And it is something so unexpected that we see it and the earth sees it, right? It's so out of the blue, it's so unexpected that it's like, oh my gosh, it calls all of our attention. We realize suddenly, wow, here we are not alone. And it conditions us to start to see things we did not expect. So it brings in that energy that we can now start to be more observant in our reality and start to notice things that are outside the norm. So we become conditioned to start to watch and to see. So it's bringing us these things, but in this idea of recognizing that there's connection. And we had a beautiful, beautiful, one of our glow ups a couple days ago was where Earth spoke to 3i Atlas for the first time. And she came up, we provided the conduit, and she spoke out to 3i Atlas. And she made it clear that she was starting to notice. She's like, who are you? It was amazing. Really amazing. If you missed that one, I've labeled them all in the lives. You will see them. If you go to my channel and you go under lives, and you will see, so far we've got 32. We're doing a total of 40. We've got 32 glow ups. And one of them you'll see 3i Atlas, the Earth Speaks with 3i Atlas. And it was so cool. And it was bringing home this idea of, like, she's like aware of something. And she said she was receiving a blessing. And she says, I'm receiving a blessing. Who is that? And it's 3i Atlas. Yeah, 3i Atlas. How cool, So amazing. So yeah, so in this message, what's super cool is, so as part of this concept of this heart opening, as part of this idea that we're supposed to open up to acceptance of all that is, it is then that is sort of the prerequisite to us then becoming cosmic citizens, right? So this is the connection back to 3i Atlas. How do we open the doorway, open the veil to connect with all that is? First, we have to get to peace with one another and ourselves. Like, we have to get to peace, and then we can get to peace. And so peace starts within. We have to come to peace with our own selves, and we have to come to the realization that everything outside of us is a reflection of us in one way or another, right? And then we come back to that then opens the door to us being able to be sort of responsible galactic citizens, at this higher state of consciousness. So amazing. One of the challenges I think that we might have listening to this message is that we have been taught that the way to make change in the world is through objection, like that we have to push back, that we have to fight, that fighting is noble, that when we resist, like, we can create change. And the challenge in that is that even if we win the battle, do we lose the war? That if you think of everything on the planet is an energy, and that energies rise and fall depending on how much conscious awareness goes to those energy fields. But an energy cannot exist without polarity, without something else to hold the other side of it. And when we have a belief about the world is not safe for me, or whatever it is, and we then find that belief attached to a representation of that belief in the world. So for me, like, okay, think about, for example, Epstein. Like, everybody goes like yuck, yuck, and to what he did and what he represents to all of us. And so how can you say, well, is Epstein a part of who I am? And of course you're going to say not in any way, shape, or form, except that he represents there somewhere in what he means to you. He is reflecting a fear or a belief. So, and that fear or belief might be the world is not safe for me, right? It might be that there is some place in you where you felt taken advantage of or exploited in some way. And that belief or that feeling or that wound, so it could be a belief system, like I said, like the worth isn't safe. It could be an experience of having been abused in some way or taken advantage of in some way, or a fear. Could even just be a fear that that might occur, right? The worry that maybe you're, every night, maybe you're super careful about always carrying your mace and scared about what might come out of the shadows. Like, that's an energy in the body that we're holding, and it relates to a fear, a belief system, an experience. And that then moves out into the world. And when you then encounter someone like the story of what's going on with Epstein, what happened with him, it may trigger you. If it triggers you, it means it's pulling on something inside of you, that it's like there's a rope stretched between you and that, whatever that thing is. Because think about this, not everything triggers you. That you may have a deep reaction to Epstein, and you may feel bad about the whales, but you don't spend nights freaking out about the whales, right? Or maybe you do. Maybe for you it's the whales and it's not Epstein. What is it? What is yours? Where do you have a rope connected between you and that thing? And we look at it and say, that is, and when it gets you, you guys, you know what I'm talking about, because it's the thing where you feel like you're wrestling with it, where you're just like, how can this be? And it makes you angry. And sometimes you want to fight. And think about all that energy that's coming out. And what that energy does is it creates more energy in the system, and it creates more of that thing. And the way to actually find peace, and I will tell you, I am witness to the truth of this, even though it is counterintuitive to how we have been taught as humans. We've been taught that it is so honorable to be the one that fights. And I'm not saying that we should put up with, like, if we see someone being abused and you are put in a position where you can help that abused person, and you're doing it from a place of love, nothing more powerful, right? Incredibly powerful. When it is sprouting out of your fear, your anger, your resentment, your whatever, that is perpetuating fear, anger, resentment. So we have to find the love inside of it. And yes, you can help another person who's suffering out of love, not out of resistance to what's happening, not out of resistance or anger at the situation. That's because that generates more of it. So, and where was I going to take it from there? I was going to tell you something amazing that I see again and again and again and again. So you guys know my deepest healing program is called Soul Convergence, and it works on sort of our really deep stuff that's kind of from really the womb to age 7. And people will come into that program, and many people will come in with estranged relationships, friendships, family relationships, fathers, mothers, siblings, children, where the relationship is broken down, where there's so much tension that they just haven't talked to that person, don't see that person. And they will go through this process of self-healing, and they will heal whatever inside of them was attached to their end of that rope, right? And then almost magically, they'll have a moment, they'll be going through the meditations, this huge emotion will come up, and then within days, sometimes one day, literally the phone will ring or the doorbell will ring, and that person has come, right? And they magically, it's like the relationship starts to repair itself because they're no longer holding their end. And it doesn't always repair. Sometimes that person drifts out of your life in a way that is because you're no longer holding if that person cannot come to terms with it. Sometimes the relationships, like it could be a friendship, and you let go your piece of the anger, and all of a sudden that friendship drifts away. And that can happen until that person works on their end of it, depending on what the structure of the dynamic is. But more often than not, what we see is the relationship heals. And so how is that? Like, we think that when somebody is like, if you have a person in your life who's like doing all this stuff, what you would determine as bad behavior, we are in fact in judgment of that person's experience. And we are pulling really hard on our end of the rope and saying, why can't they be different? And if we then turn around and say, what am I holding on to? What is my end of the rope? Because that's the only thing that we actually have control over. And if we can look at that piece of the rope and say, wow, okay, if I just let go of this, what happens? And it completely frees the dynamic. You come into it in a totally new way. And all of the places, it may take a little while if you're in active disagreement where that person is still throwing barbs at you, and then they get confused because they're not sticking anymore. And then within a couple of weeks or a couple of months, they suddenly realize, wow, this experience is not the same as it was. And that opens the doorway for the relationship to change. And this is an example of like person to person, but this is true about person to world. How do we make change in the world? By showing up differently, by learning to embrace the things that repulse us, the things that we look at and are disgusted by. And what she's explaining in here is how to do that. So let's go into the message. Let's go into it. So, all right. So so the first paragraph, she says, "Blessed beings, I am with you once again, and we are speaking today on an unfathomable subject of where, and exactly, how do you do this? It's unfathomable, right? How do we do it? Can't imagine it. Of where things are changing even now as you are standing on the precipice of where things have gone and where things are becoming." Next paragraph. "There is a new time frame that is announcing itself under your feet at this very moment. That there's is something on the horizon that is coming, that is nearly here, that you are already a part of, and that is already announcing itself in your energy field." So I channeled this last night. So this message is talking about the energies coming in, the opportunity coming in, the heart opening that's here with 3IAtlas, which is so cool. And it says, "And you will come to discover what this is as you are deepening your concentration and your readiness in your own awareness." Next paragraph. "What I would like to encourage for you each as you are standing on the threshold is an appreciation of the life that you lead." And I love that this is such a positive and beautiful expression of how we can put this energy to work and start to apply it in our lives in a lovely way that feels very supportive of ourselves. Right? She says, "An appreciation for everywhere you are, for what is today, for what is now, and for how you have come to be where you are." And so how perfect that our glow up today was about experiencing our gratitude, right? Which is really grateful for today, grateful for whatever it is, like just expanding that energy of being at peace with what is. And so phenomenal exercise for us to use as we're trying to embody this message is to go in and to do the glow up, which is, it's beautiful. It's a short, very powerful meditation that helps us to embrace and embody this gratitude, which we can apply to all of life, to everything, to our whole lives, right? And this is, some of you may be triggered by this because you might think, like, how can I be grateful for, like, I just got a traffic ticket? Like, how can I feel gratitude about that? How can I find that that's beautiful? Well, she does give us some practices here. So let's keep going. And then she says, "To find in yourself, in your soul, a stirring that allows what is to be. That without resistance, that you may open your heart to acceptance of what is, to find the strength within it." Next paragraph. "For what this shall bring you is far greater than any resentment you may toss aside. It is, in fact, a new beginning." And I think this is so important because this really addresses our societal belief that when we fight things, that fighting is the right thing to do. And she's saying, no, acceptance is what unlocks the strength. And because you're shifting the energy, everything is energy, and we're just not used to thinking it that way. We think that we only actually do things if we physically do them. We don't understand that emotion is 10 billion times more powerful, right? What we are holding in our fields, that we don't give ourselves credit as a universe world creators that we are. And we don't really see how that plays out. We just see a person hurting another person and we want to go hit that person. And it's like doing that just creates more violence. So yeah, so she says that it is far, what we receive from this is far greater, far stronger, right, than any resentment that we may toss aside. It is in fact a new beginning. It is a way of entering into a new relationship with all of creation. So this is the part where it opens the door for us to become galactic citizens, right? It's opening up the doorway of us to become at peace, so we can be at peace with all other life forms. And she says, "And it shall bring to you a greater preponderance of existing," which means like the majority of your existence will be within the expression of loving what is. "It shall draw into your field more and more enjoyment of the life as you have it now." So this is not only do we benefit the world and the earth, and we benefit, if we do this practice, we benefit our relationships, which, everything that's around us. It releases our resistance to everything, which opens up more flow, which makes us actually appreciate our life even more. It becomes this self-perpetuating field, which is amazing, right? It's like that appreciation creates good things, which then we appreciate, which generates more appreciation, right? It's like this loving, wonderful, perpetuating field. Next paragraph. She says, "This is the threshold and you are upon it, and it stands between you now and the after. The after as it is coming to be defined by who you are. There is only in the understanding of yourselves the idea that now is defined by the world as it is, a world that exists and you are simply visiting, that you are here to nurture yourselves, to grow your light, to help one another. And so this is how she's describing how we perceive the world today. We think of the world as a physical place, and that we are a separate soul that decided to come and embody on the earth, and that the earth was just here and we decided to come and visit it, right? And that we're here, and some of us are like, yeah, I wish I didn't come. Some of us like, this place is hard, I don't like it, I wish I didn't come. And we think of it as something totally outside of us, that Mother Earth, that she's her own thing, and that we are just here and we are not really, like, we don't take any ownership for what we find here, that we just say, yeah, the earth is just a thing and I am visiting the earth. And what she's trying to say now, she says, so the world as it is, a world that exists, and you are simply visiting. And she says, but what if you would consider that this earth, the one that we live on right now, as she is a co-creative process, a co-creative processing of what is expected and generated from within your own field. And to this, I would answer that you have now an opportunity to create a departure from that, to create something new, to harness from within yourselves an open door that is forming around you. And I know it's hard to think that, like, we all created, in one way or another, we contributed to the existence of Jeffrey Epstein. And that comes from our fears and our beliefs and all the things that happened. And yes, it's true that, like, well, who then created, if you were abused in some way, who created your abuser? Well, then they were abused. In the same way that loving what is and gratitude begets more gratitude, the same could be said for the reverse, right? Abuse creates abuse, creates abuse. And we see that generationally. We see people who are abused becomes abusers. And so how do we change it? Break the cycle, because you are that strong. Break the cycle. Stop creating it. That's what we do. That's what she's saying. We have the opportunity to break the cycle in all things, to break all the cycles, that we are empowered right now to do it. So, and so she says, to create something new, to harness from within yourselves an open door that is forming around you. And this is about understanding our ability as world creators to create a new world, to create from the truth that's inside of us, which is the God light inside of us, as opposed to creating from our fears and our expectations that are sometimes aligned with negativity. So here we go. Next paragraph. She says, and to access this doorway now, to start stepping into greater and greater openings of acceptance, you may release your resistance to what is and open your own hearts to finding a way to love with loving compassion for what is. And this is a key. How do you love Jeffrey Epstein? How do you ever get to a place where you can find some little shred of love in your body for someone who was so incredibly harmful to others? And I'm just using him. We could say Hitler. We could say there's so many people we could say. But that's just in the Zeitgeist right now. And I bring it up because I think nobody would say, yay, Epstein. Everyone's going to go, ugh, Epstein. So it's a pretty nice, clean example. So loving compassion is the answer, that we can look at Epstein and say, Epstein didn't start from nothing. I happen to know someone who reminds me of Epstein. And has never done things to the degree that Epstein did. But I do know that there's a person that I know who has that kind of darkness. And what I would say is I also know that person's story. And I know the wounds that came from the womb, from way back in the womb, where that person felt deeply unwanted and unloved and came into a world feeling no love and no compassion. And so what happened to Epstein? Like, what was his story way back when? How did he become who he was? What are his wounds? He's a person just like all of us. And somewhere in there's a little boy, and it probably happened very early on, maybe in the womb or in the very first moments of life, where something really bad happened to him. And so that's where we look. We don't look at the Epstein that did do so many harmful things. We look inside of Epstein and we find that child. We find that baby, that infant who came in eyes wide shut, right? With no concept of how difficult the earth could be, and was blindsided and changed forever by his experience. And so that's what we reach for. We find inside of everybody that thread of understanding that generates from our own wounds, where we know what it is to be hurt and to be disappointed and to be let down, to feel unloved, unwanted. We know what that is. And so we can look at that child and we can feel compassion because we relate to that. That's the human gift, right? That we can feel. We can look at that child inside of him and say, okay, I can find loving compassion for him. And if we can hold that, that's the frequency, right? That's where we let go of the fight and we generate love, right? And it's not to go to the depth of wallowing in our own wound. It is merely to understand the child that was hurt, right? So next paragraph, what does it mean to love what is when there is so much not to love? When there are so many things you would rather not have in reality as it exists, as you know it? I would say that all things that exist in your reality today are an expression of yourself. All things that exist externally are a reflection of beliefs, thoughts, and energies that reside within your very own soul. And when you can give what is the creative license to express itself and love it into wholeness, giving it the love that it needs, offering compassion where before there has been judgment, this is a healing process that unfolds within you. So see what this might play out like. So let's just use as an example, let's say that you came into the world feeling like you were unwanted. And then you have a reaction or feeling like the world was not a safe place for you, or whatever it might be, right? Whatever that initial belief was, that something happened in your early moments, whatever it was, that you feel like, wow, the world isn't a safe place for me. And then you look out into the news and you see horrible stories about people being attacked or creepy people breaking in someone's window and hurting them. And it scares the pants off you. And you go to bed thinking about that and worrying and locking the windows and shutting the drapes and buying alarm systems and think about all that generative fear, right? And that fear is growing and growing and growing. So we could fight it. We could fight or flight, right? Whichever we do is a ton of energy. Whether we're running away from it or we're running at it, it's still the same thing. We're generating a ton of energy, putting it into that system. And then when we look out into the world and we see it reflected in the world, it perpetuates more and we get more scared and we lock the windows and we do the thing. And so this is the system that we are in. This is our karmic system where we're creating and creating and creating the things that we are most resistant to, the things we want to avoid the most, that we wish didn't exist. And so the key to breaking the pattern is to recognize, and the trigger is the key. What triggers you? Where are you scared? What do you hate? What do you resist the most? What is abhorrent? What is disgusting, right? That's it. That, and somewhere your piece of that, it could be anything. It could be, but you can feel into it. Like sit with that reaction and say, what am I afraid of? Like, how does this come home to me? What am I resisting? What do I wish didn't exist and why? And follow that like a glorious thread into you. It is a jewel because it's leading you into where you are holding the rope, right? That connects you to that energy. And then once you feel it, you can go into it, and it's going to come, you guys. It's going to come from a wound that happened to you. It's going to happen to a wound that happened for you. And so the idea is to then sit with that piece of yourself and to be the loving compassion that you need. And you can start in this practice with the energy that's here right now. You can give loving compassion to that trigger, to whatever it is. You can find the wounded child inside that trigger and love it. Give it loving compassion. You don't have to love it. It means you don't have to like it. You don't have to like Epstein ever. You just have to be compassionate, right, to what created Epstein. How did that soul reflect that energy? And that's where we go. And then you can love their higher self as well. So this is the key. And this is, if you want help with this, you guys, this is the work we do in Soul Convergence. We find those triggers. We help you reach into the core wounds, and we help you love them back into wholeness. That is literally what Soul Convergence is. But we do it every which way, every facet of the mirror we go through. The masculine and the feminine energies through the feminine perspective. And then we could do your masculine and feminine energies from the masculine perspective. And we look at it every which way. And you come out a sparkly, shiny soul, which is amazing. It's an amazing thing. Yeah.
So there's help available, and there's many. I'm a healer, but there are many healers out there, you guys, and so you don't have to do this on your own. If you want help, get help. Like, that's the point. Like, why are there so many light workers here? This is why, right? Because we need this help sometimes. But right now there's this energy to support you, and we can use it by feeling compassion. If you can't find the wound inside, you can still feel compassion for the trigger, for whatever your trigger is. Yeah. And so, just to repeat that section, because I think it's so important, that we have to give it the creative license to express itself. So we think about that if that was an energy that we are a part of, like that example, and we are part of that energy of like creepy men, creepy women, creepy people, whoever it is, breaking in, hurting others, whatever it is, that we have to understand that energy has to express, because it then needs to trigger us so that we can find our wound. So we have to understand that there's a perfection in all of it, right? So, and to love it into wholeness, right? Giving it the love that it needs, offering compassion where before there has been judgment. This is a healing process that unfolds inside of you. Next paragraph. You expand your soul as this is done. You let in more light. You grow your field and express that light into the new reality as it is forming through and around you. And what this really brings up for me is that we don't have usually we're not taught how to do this. We're not taught how to release our stuff. And so we don't necessarily have the experience of letting go of our fear and then all of a sudden feeling lighter because of it, feeling more light come into our bodies. But if this has ever happened to you, if it's ever happened where you were holding on to something and you released it and you felt that rush of like, oh my gosh, you feel light, you feel happy, you feel better. That's the thing. But think about it even bigger. Think about it with your core wounds. Think about it with the deepest stuff, right? That's what's possible. Next paragraph. If you are able to harness these energies, which are the energies that are here right now on the planet, your field and the energies of you expressing loving compassion for the things that you fear, the things that you hate, that's an energy. If you're able to harness these energies, your field expands through love, into love, creating love. And this is the potential that you are stirring now, even as you sit. Even as you hear my words, this potential is around you. And you may begin in this moment. You may begin in the acceptance of what you have not accepted. You may begin in the understanding that that which you have not accepted is, in fact, a part of what you are in one way or another. Even those things that feel so far from what you are, standing in resistance to a belief system or idea that you hold in your own energy field. Next paragraph. All is created from what you are. And if this is the case, you also have the power to create something new. And what shall that new thing become? A reality based on your truth. On your truth, which is that you are, in fact, a spark of the divine. Right? This is how we create heaven on earth, you guys. That you contain the imprint of loving. That loving is your intrinsic nature. If you can simply allow it to be, if you can open yourselves to allowing the fluidity of that light to move through you. And the way that we do it, right, is by loving what is, learning to love what is. And that means sometimes loving it with loving compassion. Yeah. How do you do this? To the acceptance of what is, letting down your barriers to self, allowing the soul to open its doors, letting all that is your truth flow through. Next paragraph. You need not be perfect. Huge, right? You need not be perfect. You need not harness all that is inside of you into a structure or format that you think is palatable to others or to yourself. You can come as you are, be as you are, imperfect. For in your imperfection, there is great beauty. And from within the essence of acceptance of yourself, you generate acceptance in your world. And this is the gateway to freedom. And freedom generates love. And why is that? Why does freedom generate love? Because it opens all the barriers. It literally just creates like that love is that your direct connection to source is just flowing through you. And freedom opens the barriers, which means more of it flows through, right? So it generates a field. That's the whole thing. What is the new reality? It is the field of love that we are creating when we love ourselves, when we have no more barriers and we let all that light come through. And when we give others, super key, give others freedom to be who they are. And we first accept ourselves. That helps us to accept others, and we give them freedom. And that connection takes the love inside of us and makes a field out of it that then becomes the field of the earth, which does not exist right now. right? This is not something that's current. This is the new reality. This is what we are currently right now starting to create, right? The beginnings of it exist right now. It's so exciting, you guys. And it's crazy if we just realize how much of this is coming right from us, like how empowered we are to do it, to create it. It's amazing. So, next paragraph. Now is the time to find friendship with what you have not wanted, with what you have not liked, to become in acceptance of what is, to find that in every corner of this earth, love is needed and can be offered by you. Loving acceptance opens the doorway to the freedom that you are seeking. It gives to you what you are wanting, what you are needing, which is a free passageway through which to express your truth, to grow the light of your own belonging. It comes now in this time, this opportunity. So I highlighted that because like this is what it is. This is what we're doing. And then the next paragraph, it's like, does it have to be all or nothing? And she says, do you need to commit yourself fully to this experience? Not yet. It may come part by part, piece by piece. Allow yourself this unfolding. In a moment, in a day, however long, it does not matter. Every moment within which you are holding the vibration of acceptance and peace with what is, you have found a moment of freedom. And in that freedom, you have gifted love to this earth. So in other words, it may not be easy to do this, right? It may be a thing where like, okay, you can sit in meditation and you can like focus and concentrate on trying to love the inner child of Jeffrey Epstein or whatever you send it to, right? You can find a space to do that. But then when you come out of meditation, you may go in the world and you may see something like a fact or a new story or something that comes forward that makes you mad again. That's okay. It doesn't take away the moment where you were sending love, right? The moments that we are sending love are like little energies. They are like self, whatever energies that are self-sustaining that go out into the new reality and start to connect with other people's, and we're building a field. So every little, it's like a brick that you're sending out to add to the wall, but it's not a wall. It's like a new reality. But you're adding building material every moment that you do it. So even if like you're not able to hold it all the time, it's okay. Like don't worry. We're not meant to be perfect, as she said. But every moment we do it matters. And the more we do it, of course, the better. And then eventually, when we go through the shift fully, we will be able to be in that state all the time, which will be incredible. And that's the flash of light and everything that's coming to support us. So to help us do it. So, okay. So then next paragraph, she says, the more you concentrate upon this acceptance, forgiving what you find offensive, loving that which you find abhorrent, loving it as one loves a child who is abandoned, giving love which is healing to that which is confused or lost to itself, and seeing within this the peace that unfolds inside you, allowing this to reflect, coming to terms with those wounds which generate resistance, opening the heart, opening the doorways through which your truth will unfold. So there's tons of energy here right now to support us in this practice, which is why it can be so powerful, or where you may have been able to find acceptance where before it would have just felt impossible. You might be able to access things that are so repressed, right, that have been so pushed down because they were so terrifying or so scary, that in this moment, there may be a window for you to be able to love those parts of yourself back into wholeness, which is really exciting. In a moment, the world changes forever. It changes piece by piece, moment by moment, person by person. And every moment that you commit yourself to loving what is your future, expands to include your truth. And you become part of it. And you are gradually and gently leaning into a new perspective and a higher state of consciousness. Yeah. So I think it's an incredibly powerful message. I think I love how it's giving us such clear directions. You know what I mean? Such a clear understanding of what we need to do and how we can do it and how powerful we really are, helping us to really understand the role that we have played in perpetuating our own karma and the karma of the world and the things that we hate, that we're part of it. And how do we, and yes, that's terrible and wonderful at the same time, because it means it's not impossible to fix it. You know, we have felt I think for a long time that the world is just this big, scary place, and like, how do you make a difference? And it can be really disempowering, and the truth is anything but that. The truth is so not that. The truth is that yeah, we have incredible power. Literally, by sitting on your couch, you can change the world. Sit on your couch, close your eyes, and meditate, and go in and find your triggers. Find that wound inside of you that is so reacting, right? So reactive. and then, or just sit down with that thing you hate and try to look into it and find love, loving compassion for how that person or how that thing became what it was, right? And yeah, super powerful from your couch. Let me look and see what you guys are saying. I love our conversation that you guys are having in here. Celine says, I visualize I'm floating above that person and sprinkling pink and red love confetti, which in turn makes me giggle. Oh, I love that, Celine. That's wonderful. Joshua says, soul convergence is life changing. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Joshua. Jude says, and it starts again. If you're looking, it starts in early February, is when the next round begins. So if you guys want to come along, you're totally invited. Jude says, neutrality helps us navigate through those abhorrent ideas, understanding we are observers and we are here to learn. We simply don't label or judge. And if we do, that is an imperfection that we must love in ourselves until we heal. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Jean says, yep, healed brother issue, helping 100% now that our mom is transitioning. Soul convergence number one. That is so cool. You healed your brother issue. So that's the thing. It's like we see it all the time and it blows my mind every time. I never take it for granted. I never do. I find it to be so amazing. And then let's see. Kelsey says, I mostly get this, but wow, there are many people damaging life with hostility, and I don't know how to feel compassion for that. And we're not feeling compassion for people who are damaged. We're not feeling compassion for what they are doing. Like there is a true right and a wrong in life, and I'm not in any way disguising that. Like it's wrong to hurt other people purposefully. Like it's wrong to do that. And we need the whole point is to love others and to respect them and allow them their freedom and allow them to be. But underneath that, the only reason that person is doing that person started out just like us, and then something happened to them that changed them and put them on a path where they are experiencing life through a really negative lens and doing things that are in some ways very incomprehensible to us. But we have to understand that if we stand in judgment of them, that we are adding negative energy into that system. You have to think of it as a system. And then we have to go back into understanding either you have to love your own trigger, love why it hurts you, or you got to love the child and them. And you can pick the one that is easier for you, but there is energy for both. Energy for both. And either way, you are loosening. The whole point is we have to loosen our grip on that rope that we are holding because we are responding. If you have an emotional response to something, you've got energy there. So, and you can see the truth in this is that there will be sometimes horrible events that really hurt one person and don't affect the other one at all. And why is that? Because this person's got junk and it's resonating with that. And this person doesn't have that particular junk. They've got other junk. So we got to identify, heal our junk. And you can do it through going in and identifying and healing your own triggers, integrating that part of yourself. But sometimes those are really deep, really hard to reach. Another pathway, find a pathway of trying to understand with compassion, giving loving compassion to wherever that's sourced, whatever the wound came from in the beginning for that other person. Okay, you guys, amazing. Like deep, this was deep. This is a really deep message together. And I'm so, so grateful for your capacity to feel into this, for how it affects you personally, for like really we're being asked to sit with this and to feel into ourselves and to feel like, because yes, there's a piece of it of taking responsibility, right? For what we are creating on this earth, but and participating in most of the time unknowingly, but much more exciting is that what that means is we have the power to change it. And the point is to break the cycle. The point is to grow into a higher state, to create heaven on earth. And that is the thing to point to. That's the thing I think we're meant to embrace. So yeah, let's do it, you guys. Let's do this. Let's look out into the world. Let's love what is, and let's create our new world. Thank you so much. I will see you back here next Friday for the next Friday Live. Tons of love. Bye-bye, you guys.